What's going on, everyone? This is Sheets, and we are going to be doing a live lineup build for the MLB slate this evening. We're also going to be having James from Paydirt come on in and help with the Paydirt portfolio manager tool. So I'm going to give him a link, and then whenever he's ready, he can just kind of pop on in at his leisure. Let's save this. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're first going to go ahead and build our lineups. We're going to use, I don't think I want to use the beta. May as well. So what we're going to be trying here is a new version of SaberSim, which they're kind of beta testing right now, which apparently, allegedly, does a better job with diversifying lineups and getting into the whole portfolio management game. And I think results for me are mixed right now. And when I say results, I don't mean actual results. I mean, I've done very well with it, but something about it just doesn't sit exactly right with me. We'll get into that a little later after I speak to Jordan. I think Jordan and I are going to have a kind of a sit down about this from SaberSim. But we're going to build anyway. And here, the main thing that I want to, well, not the main thing, but one thing I want to stress today, something I talked about with Adam Perry, I just think that projection systems are just slow. I think they're slow to catch up. I think they're slow to react to fundamental changes in pitchers and fundamental changes in general. And it's not really their fault. I mean, I guess it is. Sample size issues are so big that what they do is they go back 2-3 years for results and for data, and you really run the risk of missing out on when a pitcher has really turned the corner, when his velocity is really increased, or where some things have just really changed. And I think they do a particularly poor job with these rookies, with these upsides. And this Chase Burns thing is, I mean, it's to me kind of a joke. Okay, now SaberSim did put its projection up to 14 from 12 earlier today, or the Sims did, or whatever. But, I mean, quite honestly, I mean, anybody that plays DFS, I said this before his last outing, anybody that plays DFS knows you just have to account for a little bit more upside variance with these guys, especially guys that throw a million miles an hour and have all the strikeout upside that he displayed. I mean, he had 15 Ks per nine in the freaking minors. I mean, and the Reds are not pulling him up for no reason against the Yankees. I mean, what did you think was going to happen this last start? You know, if it wasn't for a kind of one fishy play by TJ Friedl in the outfield, you might be looking at a 30-point fantasy point production from him, and then God knows where we're at. So he's now against a depleted Red Sox team, and the only model that's even given him any respect is honestly is the Paydirt model. I mean, it's ridiculous. I myself could get him up to 16, and I feel I'm low. In any case, we'll just see how this kind of turns out. So we're uploading the custom projections here, and we're just going to fire. We're playing 150 in the lottery because it's only $5. I never play the full 150 when it's more than that. Maybe when it's 8, but not when it's 15. So I get to do that. I actually have a seat in the 12-20 live final qualifier, which I won a few weeks ago. So I'm playing that. and I am playing 10 in the immaculate inning. So I'm in for listen. This is a big number for me. 38.51 for a baseball slate. So hopefully we do well. Okay, what I am not going to do is I'm not going to be stingy with my stacks on a 6-game slate. I'm just kind of going to let it roll, like for now. And if I get like too many, like 2-2-2-2s, 2-3-2-2s, or whatever it is, okay, that's one thing. But aside from that, I'm just going to let the thing fly. And what the plan is today is we are going to build 500 lineups. We're going to put our big buy-ins in as is. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go back and we're going to build, rebuild the lottery using the Pay Dirt Portfolio Manager tool, which James is going to be in here to help with. I am presuming, by the way, I mean, I don't know what I'm going to get. I'm presuming them to be getting a bunch of Rangers and Orioles, mostly Orioles, I guess. Look at this, all this Kansas City showing up against Kirby. That's interesting. And I presume that a lot of Garrett Crochet is going to show up. Okay, there's Chase Burns, 21%. But that's at Saber score. Let's go ahead and run the contest sims. And we're going to just use the regular contest sims for what Saber Sims kind of created for us. I have not been able to improve on that yet. I'm working on it, though. I really am working on it. And you see, I am getting a Chase Burns 21% at Saber score. I don't know what I'm going to be getting at anything else. Max Scherzer. I mean, again, this is why I don't look and see who I have. I mean, this will drive me just nuts. Okay. Oh, the first thing I did wrong. I actually built it without using the portfolio diversity tool. So I do want to start with the diversity tool. So let's. I don't want to get into it too much, but when you ever have this little X over here, that means you're in that mode. And I have a feeling that when it comes down to it, he is going to yell at me, Jordan, for mixing systems here. But that's okay. I don't mind. So again, we'll build the 5,000 lineups. Not make any requirements as far as stacks go. Not making any requirements as far as salaries go. I'm just going to let it do its thing. And you'll see, I mean, you won't see it do its thing, but you'll see it purport to do its thing with respect to portfolio diversification. Apparently, they have this really cool new algorithm that does a little bit better job with min uniques and really spreading your exposure the way you need to over your portfolios. Again, something about it bothers me a little bit. I haven't quite figured out what it is yet, but I will. But for now, we're just going to run the contest sims. Let's see what we end up with. And I'm just going to put everything in, really, as is, as far as the big buy-ins go. You'll note, by the way, that there is a decent gap between the hour and a half gap between the 8 o'clock and then these two 9:40s. See, it says diversifying lineups. And then we'll go ahead and we will just save all. Just save to their assigned contest. You see this template here? It means in one group per contest. That's something I don't want to get into right now. But it's basically very similar to autofill here. So we'll download these. We'll put all this stuff in. And again, I'm presuming you want to see who I have? I mean, I guess. It's going to drive me crazy here. So you do see, by the way, that I'm leaving some money on the table in some of these, which is okay on a small slate. Bothers me a little bit though. Maybe I should go up to 19 to 49,000. I don't know. In any case, as far as stack exposures, I mean, I guess I could take off some of these Bow Wow stacks. As far as team stacks go, obviously a bunch of Yankees, San Fran, Baltimore. I mean, this all makes perfect sense to me. Again, the only thing that's kind of bothering me is the stack exposure. As far as players go, again, might as well take a look at it. Exposures, I'd be getting, let's see, Crochet, Jacob Lopez and Chase Burns, we spoke about at length earlier today. I mean, again, it's possible that Jacob Lopez, even though he's like 27, 28 years old, he's just basically just done something to make himself better. And I think it's possible that you could look at pitchers that way sometimes. So again, the only thing I might consider doing is and that's when we get into when James comes in, we'll talk about how to make sure we have nothing but 5-mans and things like that. But in the meanwhile, let's then go on to FanDuel, and then we'll do the same thing. Now, FanDuel, we gotta hustle here because this starts at 6:30. And when we looked at it earlier, we saw that the Phillies were getting all kinds of ownership. So let's just see if that's the case still. Okay. And again, same thing. For now, we're not going to do anything with the mins. We're not doing anything with the stacks. We're not doing anything like that. We'll just go ahead and build. And by the way, there's a video series I'm going to put out this week. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's probably going to be tomorrow, where I want to talk about. It's going to be specific to MMA. I don't know what it is, but somebody made a very, very nice post in the MMA Discord, which I really want to answer in an intelligent way. I mean, people have asked this type of question before, but I think I don't know, something about the way he asked it made me really want to answer it. He basically was asking like how to get better at MMA DFS using SaberSim. And obviously a lot of people say that, but talked about having your own projections, talked about when you don't have your own projections, talked about how to get different from other people doing the same thing you're doing. I don't know. I just kind of got motivated to do a video specific to that type of thing. Okay, so same thing. We will run the contest sims, and then we'll just take a look-see to see who we're having. And then we will go ahead and we'll take a look at the stack sizes also and the stack formats. I think Bobby's actually out at the World Series now, playing poker. Hope he remembers how to play. Yeah, these Yankees look like they're in a pretty decent spot here, right? In Toronto like that. Then you also have you have Rodon in a very difficult spot. I mean, that ballpark is tough, and you get the Toronto is very, very good against lefties in general. So we'll save these, and then we'll download them. Then we'll go up and see who we have. And I want to make sure we get these done. And I never knew. I don't know if I presume that you could use PayDirt for FanDuel as well. It's probably going to be a little bit harder to set up a projection file, but he'll show me how to do it, I guess. Maybe we'll use PayDirts for as a demo for that. Okay. For the field, okay. Well, I'll do that in a second. So, first of all, let's take a look and see who we have on FanDuel. As I mentioned, Philadelphia looks to be the highest owned, followed by San Francisco, Tampa, and Pittsburgh. And then, as far as players go, specifically pitchers, I imagine, yep, Crochet, top pitcher, and then a whole bunch of others. So, what you could do if you really want to take a look at the field, so go into, say, DraftKings, and you go into contests. Now, I already uploaded my stuff here. So within contests, it has these fields that SaberSim believes, these fields that SaberSim feels are representative of these particular types of contests. So like the flagship MME, we could just unclick that, and then we'll just take a look at it, I think. Yeah, so this is the field for what it's presuming. The 9,789 person field. It's processing still. And we'll take a look and see what it is. It seems to be just waiting. Okay, so it looks as though for the fields, team stacks highest projected looks like the Yankees. Yankees highest projected of the field, followed by Boston, followed by San Francisco, followed by Tampa. And when it came to 5-man specifically, it looks as though pool exposure, I guess San Francisco would be the highest 5-mans, except if you look at the field that we're using, now again, we talked about this. So why does the field have 18% 2-2s? Like, why are we presuming that the highest owned stack of the field is 2-2s? Because what they're trying to do is make fields that are not just representative of good players, but representative of some bad players. So that's why it doesn't have all that many stacks, is because they believe that that people don't stack as much as they should. So it's an interesting way to look at it for sure. But that's why when you look into these fields, you get like some weird exposures. Okay, Corey. Definitely a question I haven't gotten in quite a long time. I guess I'll answer. Listen, I'm going to answer it as straight as I can. If you just want to get the most likely outcome, in other words, what stack is most likely to score the most points, usually it's 1 through 5. Okay, because normally those are the 5 best hitters, and when you have hitters that are bunched together, one correlates with one another. You have one guy knocking in somebody else, and the guy behind gets the runs, and the guy in the front, whatever, gets the RBIs. So if you just want to come up with the most likely outcome, you're going to play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's just the way the math usually works. But they're the usual issues, right? Number one is salary. What if the 1 through 5 just are way too expensive and you can't play them? And more important in the big GPPs is that a lot of people are going to be playing that way. So what you want to do is get somewhat different. And the question of, I mean, how much more different do you want to be? I mean, if I knew the answer to that completely, then I will have really solved like this whole thing. Okay. Another thing I want to do before Jim gets here or James gets here is I want to build some more lineups because I want to download these. This is actually the whole pool. This is actually the whole pool. So instead of that, I want to just save the top 500 lineups. Sort of, well, I don't have to. Why do I even need to save the top 5,000? I'll save this top 5,000 lineups sorted by ROI. That's fine, right? So what I'm going to do in preparation for that is I'm going to download these. So let's download these lineups, and these are the top 5,000 lineups sorted by ROI according to SaberSim. And again, do you want to see where that is? It's all the way over here, I think. Think should be somewhere. Sheets default. Where is actually the? Maybe it's not sorting by ROI over here. That's interesting. It says it's sorting by ROI, but then. Oh, okay. So this is what it's doing. It's doing it by large slate and small slate, I think. Well, what's interesting here, it says it's rated by ROI. Let's just take a look at these contests here. No, we want to keep these as is. Okay. I think the other thing I want to do is let's in addition to that, let's build without the portfolio diversification. So let's just go from here. Oh, this is pretty cool. We'll build a whole new set. You want to do that? Now we should be good here. This is actually kind of weird because when I look at the lineups, well, I don't want to look at the field lineups. I just want to look at my lineups, right? Okay. Mine is built to 538. Sort of ROI. Let's sim this again. Let's just make sure that this is. We get what we want here. And then what I'd be interested to see is what we can do with the pay dirt stuff. This is by ownership. So where do I see the? Let's see something. Knuckleball for a second. Okay, fair enough. So let's just go back to the pool. Download lineup groups, and we're going to save these. And we'll just save them. What did I say we're going to save them as? Hold on, let's see. Good. And then we'll save these as. I say? Hold on. Save as. Stalling just a little bit. Stalling just a little. We'll just wait on this. I don't want to not have these files. But it looks as though I'm pretty stalled here. Okay. So that's very interesting. The beta kind of looks like that. Let's do it another way. I don't think it's sorting by ROI for some reason. See, this is the issue I'm having with this new system here. So we're gonna start over here. We're gonna do a whole new build. Yeah, see this looks a little better. I think I'm messing with the systems too much, and I'm using them both, and I think it's kind of confusing it. Let's rebuild. As we wait for James to come in here. Processing build request. Now, this is actually grabbing these tournaments, I think, in a little bit of a better way. I think this is going to be saving them better for me. So what this is allowing me to do, by the way, I can group these together a little bit. Like if I wanted to look at the new system is going to allow me to look and say all the MME stuff together, like the lotteries together and all the single entries together. That's actually kind of interesting to be able to do that. But for now, we're just going to do the regular. We're sorting by fee. And then we're sorting by ROI, whatever. And then we'll save these all for now again, as usual. It looks like it's saving 0. Very interesting. Well, here are the pool lineups. What we probably should do is just use the lineups we've already created as the portfolios. That makes sense? These will rank by no diversity. You must run contest sims in order to sim the portfolio. Okay, let's go back to here then. By the way, any questions, feel free to pile them in. Well, this is interesting. So this one, I don't even see the lineups when I look at it this way. So let's go back to here. And again, we'll just use this template here. Okay. We can rebuild them if we want. There he is, I believe. Let me just see where he is. I hear something. Oh, Ed. Hey, what's going on, James? How are you?
I'm good, man. I just got back from the gym. How are you?
Oh, very nice. You are everywhere.
Yeah, man. The last fucking 2 weeks have been a lot, but that's okay. Hopefully things slow down in 9 days.
Yeah. So the first thing I wanted to mention, I wanted to ask you, I guess. I mean, I was talking about recency bias in projection models, mm-hmm. and how where human beings could benefit from having less of it, projection models could benefit from having more of it. And I called you out in a good way, as it's your model seems to be, and you mentioned the Discord, the only one that seems to be showing any respect for Mr. Burns here. Now again, is it something, not to get like too nerdy or anything like that, but is there something particular, without getting too into it, about the way you run your models that lets you pick up more recent stuff, or you know, or vibes? You know what I mean? Like how are you so different than everybody else?
Yeah, so I think that I would attribute it to two main things, and kind of like one like less important thing. But the first main one is that I run on I build pretty much all of my models to be regression sensitive, meaning that I build things that try to find the noisy thing in a projection process and lean into it towards a regression or a normalization tactic. The thing that I use specifically for pay dirt is true average, right? And that's a stat that I developed that aims to find a more appropriate batting average allowed for pitchers. Now, most people would be like, oh yeah, you know, batting average doesn't matter all that much. But I would actually say that it matters a fucking lot when it comes to things like projecting out the outcomes of an at-bat, or projecting out the outcomes for a pitcher across a game. There are a lot of things that matter, right? I mean, how many home runs he gives up, how many walks he has, blah, 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 stuff like that. And I have things that measure all that kind of stuff, and I'll get to that on point two. But the thing that ultimately matters when you're figuring out what happened in a pitcher-hitter interaction, did the pitcher allow a hit? Everything else just comes off of that, right? Like, because if the pitcher did not allow a hit, then it's an out. And then you can say, okay, here's decision tree. Did the pitcher allow a hit? Yes or no? Did the pitcher not allow a hit? Yes or no? If they didn't allow a hit, it's basically, okay, what kind of out was it? Was it a double play? Was it a fly out? Was it a strikeout? Whatever. But on the other side of that, where he did allow a hit, that's where everything else breaks down. What kind of hit was it? Was it an extra base hit? Was it a single hit? Was it a home run? If it was an extra base hit, what are the chances that it was a home run or a second or a double or a triple? If it was a single, who else is on base? Like, this decision tree over here is massive. This decision tree is a little bit smaller, but they both root off of, did they get a hit? So that's the main regression statistic driving projections over at pay dirt. It's true average. But, you know, on top of that, I also choose to regress things like home run rates. I choose to regress things like, on the hitter side, I choose to regress things like home run rates as well, right? Like, expected home runs is better than regular home runs. So I lean into regression pretty heavily for stuff over at pay dirt. And the reason for that is because of reason number two, I choose to use shorter samples than the rest of the industry. So yes, I have a last year portion of my models, which is dedicated to, you know, a longer season baseline. But I also then use the last 45 days of performance to inform a lot of different things in the models as well, so that specifically I can catch shorter samples that might turn into something real. Now, I expect to miss a lot, right? I think I'm going to miss a lot. There are plenty of chances where, say, Chase Burns looks good right now. I can name a couple other pitchers that I had projected very well off of short samples that didn't do super great after that, right? Like it was just kind of a fizzle out. But for every 5 projections that are short samples that are not great, there's one that continues and is sustained for long enough to make money off of it. And that's what I believe is necessary. I don't really care about my long-term correctness or precision. What I care about is finding things that we can leverage for just long enough that we can make some money off of them. So those two things come together. And those are the main things for why.
Let me push on one of the things. How do you deal? I've asked Sabersim about this. I've asked anybody that would listen. How do you deal with rookies? Like, how do you deal with guys that are making their first start that have hype? Do you look at like minor league numbers? How do you deal with? How did you deal with him in his first start, for example?
He was the exact league average baseline.
Okay.
Point blank. Period. I do it for every single rookie. Okay. I do it for every single rookie across every sport. Because my idea is, okay, it's great. We have hype, like, Chase Burns comes up and he's hyped and it's like, oh, he's going to be the next best thing, and blah, 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 that kind of shit. We hear that about like every pitcher that gets called up, right? I mean, a pitcher gets called up from AAA to the majors and they're just like, oh, this is the number 7 prospect in the pipeline. We heard about a whole bunch of guys, right? And we hear it across every single sport. But the most likely outcome is that these guys are really, really talented and then just end up being average. So they're average. I get a little bit of pushback on that sometimes, where I'll have, I don't know, I think it was Matt Manning, I think last year maybe. He was a really hyped up prospect for Detroit, and he came up and I had him projected for league average, and he was 8K. He was a rookie and he was projected for like 29% ownership. And I had his projection at like 12 fantasy points or something. And everyone called me insane. It's like, dude, he's probably an average guy. And if he ends up being insane, then we'll catch it on the next start. I'm not going to pay a 27% ownership premium on a guy who's probably overpriced if he's an average guy. So that's how I handle it.
Okay. So what we did was we built 5,000, but we built my 500 top ROI lineups, ROI in the lottery. Okay. And so what we're going to do is we are going to use the Paydor Portfolio Manager to see what to screw around with it a little bit. Okay. And James does a great job by trying to explain like all the stuff that his toys can do, and so the more of these that we do, the better. So I think that this should be a good projection set. I think it's clean. I had to work on. I mean, it was from my end, obviously, but let me just see projection over here. That looks good. And then, so what we did was we built 500 lineups, and you have to put in that it's coming from Sabersim. Okay. So you have all these guys in here, and with any luck, I didn't screw it up. And hey, look at that. All right.
There you go.
So these are the 500 lineups. And again, what are we looking at here before we screw around with it?
Yeah, so I mean, if you extend this out, if you hover over the right and widen that out, then you can show everybody the whole thing here, right? So this is a full portfolio, your lineups that you uploaded.
Yeah.
And then it'll tell you. So I did institute some things that are special now, right? So we know what stack it is, right? I put in logic to tell you what stack it is. We know the size of the stack. Put in logic for that too. That's something people would ask for.
That's good. Actually. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Salary, median, and ownership. It'll tell you the projected amount of dupes, which obviously is way more important than things like MMA and Showdown. But every once in a while you might be duped in MLB. And then the proprietary stats, right? So finishing percentile. This is my calculation of the expected median finishing percentile for a lineup, meaning that if it says 10%, your expected finishing percentile for that lineup, based on the other stats that we see here, is around the 10th percentile. So in the cash, but not, you still need a standard deviation outcome for that lineup to end up finishing higher than 10%, right? Win percentage, which is the amount of times percentile that it wins the contest which is obviously very low. If you have a 25,000 person contest, you would never be expected to finish first very often. And then lineup edge, which is a combination and a calculation based on win percentage, finishing percentile, dupe, the amount of dupes, as well as the median outcome, the median projection for lineup. And then weighted ownership and geomean. And weighted ownership and geomean kind of accomplish the same idea. Geomean is straightforward to people who do this stuff a lot. It's the product ownership of your lineup. Weighted ownership is a little bit different. What it does is it tries to say, okay, if you have high across the board high ownership in a lineup, that lineup has more weighted ownership than a lineup that has peaks and valleys. So if you have a lineup that has 4 50% owned guys and let's say 5 50% owned guys and 5 30% owned guys, that one is going to have a higher weighted ownership than one that has 3 80% owned guys and then 7 10% owned guys. Like, the larger the difference is between the highest and the lowest end is going to signify a different weighted ownership. The reason why that's important is because it kind of represents relative value. You can have high ownership in a lineup and still have really good relative value. And I tried to capture that with weighted ownership.
Okay. Next thing, obviously, some of these things, well, all of them to some degree correlate. How positive is, I mean, I presume it's very positive, the correlation median, finishing percentile, win percentage. But do you get a lot? Do you get sometimes some discrepancies? You'll get like one of the top median that's not in the top finishing percentile, or the top median that's not doesn't have the best win percentage and stuff like that, or is it usually pretty linear?
Yeah, I mean, go ahead and sort by median, and you can see some examples.
Okay. Oh wait, let's go this way.
So you can see there's some pretty heavy striation there, right? I mean, there's some lineups there that you have really high medians, and then the finishing percentiles are lower, quote unquote lower.
Oh, I see that. Look at that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then you have some lineups that have better finishing percentiles, and the reason for that is because of the ownership and the dupes and the win percentages, right? People don't realize it, but one of the reasons why I say that you pay a premium on ownership is because that does affect your finishing percentile. If you have two lineups that each have a median of 100 fantasy points, but one of them is 200% some ownership and the other one is 100% some ownership, the one with 100% some ownership is going to have a much better average finishing percentile than the one that has 200%. And the reason for that is because you don't have any fucking relative value. Like, if you have a whole bunch of ownership, you're competing against a whole bunch of other people that have those players. So you have less of a chance to pass the field when you have high ownership. So as you can see here, like at 187% ownership, you can just look at those two that are projected for 100.94 and 100.45. That third and fourth lineup where you have that big drop.
Mm-hmm.
One has 187% some ownership. The other one has 160% some ownership, and that's a big drop, right? Like that's 27% ownership somewhere that you're cutting off there, and you're not losing any median, right?
Explain one more time. Like the kids say, explain like I'm 5. Like,
yeah.
Explain again how it matters what the ownership is for finishing percentile.
So imagine you have two lineups, and each of them have the exact same finishing, like the exact same median, right? Just 100 as a median. And one has 200% ownership and one has 100% ownership.
Okay.
So the reason why the one that has 200% ownership is going to have a harder time reaching the top finishing percentile of the one that has 100% is because you are competing against more people that have the same players as you. So say that you can bring this down to one player, right? If Aaron Judge is 25% owned and Ronald Acuna is 5% owned, if Aaron Judge hits a home run, 25% of the field gets the points for his home run. If Acuna hits a home run, only 5% of the field gets the points for his home run. So in that instance, you pass 20% more of the field by having the Acuna home run rather than the Aaron Judge home run.
Right.
So that's the way that you look at it, but it's just across a full lineup, right? You can break down to the single individual player. If you get, say for, pitchers is a great example here. Tonight you have Garrett Crochet and Logan Webb. Garrett Crochet is projected for 60% ownership. Logan Webb is projected for 16% ownership. All right. Now, Sure, Garrett Crochet probably wins that 1v1 most of the time. But does he win that 1v1 most of the time? Like more than 50% of the time?
Right.
Maybe. But that's not really the point that I'm trying to make. The point is that if you have Logan Webb and Logan Webb puts up 35 fantasy points and Garrett Crochet puts up 5 fantasy points, those 35 fantasy points matter a lot because you're now competing with 15% of the field rather than 60% of the field. So the ownership matters a lot. You have to think about ownership in terms of a price that you pay when you're building out large field lineups.
So you have we have 500 lineups here to choose from. Before I do that, I have to ask you: do we have this working for FanDuel too, or no?
Yeah.
Oof, because that locks in 14 minutes, and I'm inclined to go over there, but there's a big problem. Yeah. It's like there's no way that I can create these projection files in time.
For another day.
For another day. Okay, so what do we do with this? Okay, so honestly, so I built 500 lineups. I think I have some pretty good freaking projections. I think I had good ownership projections. I think I had 500 pretty decent ROI lineups or whatever. What the hell ones do I pick? I mean, what do I do here?
So there's a couple different things that you can do. I was talking to somebody in the Discord today, and he was just like, look, I mean, I've seen your videos. I see what you do. And what I do, personally, it takes me about 15 minutes to build out my lineups. Okay. What I do is I go over to the ROO, and I say, okay, I know that this pitcher's going to be chalk. I want some lineups against him. So I go through my process to find my lineups against him. I see another pitcher. They're going to be chalk. I want some lineups against him. And then I go to the ROO, and I say, I want this team, this team, this team, this team. And then I go through my process, and I pick those teams, and then I build my portfolio, and that's that. But somebody had reached out to me and was like, I don't have time for all that. Like if I just wanted to build lineups that were competitive and I didn't have time to go through that full process, what would I do? So what I would suggest for MLB is, first off, what we should do is just kind of see what lineups make sense and like what players we get in those lineups make sense. So go over to the trimming option drop down and sort. I like sorting on weighted own because of the reasons why I explained. The trimming variable, you'll go median and then click on the trimming variable and go weighted own, and then just go down and trim that and just see what you get. So you have 16 lineups that are efficient in terms of ownership and projection. So now go below that. We're going to take a look and see who you have in these lineups. So you have 100% Garrett Crochet. Great, cool. You also have 66% Bobby Witt. You get 6 Jacob Lopez. So who are the other pitchers that you're even getting in this, right? I like to take a look at this to get an idea of the kind of lineups that are being built and who is valuable in these lineups. So like Vinny Pasquantino is important. Garrett Crochet is important. Like Bobby Witt is relatively important. Like those are the guys that show up in the trimmed lineups. So then go up and reset your portfolio. Now, the next thing that I want to do is say, okay, so I know that I'm going to be getting a lot of Garrett Crochet. One thing that I will always do and that I think is really important, this is something that like Giant Squid does, Need Lunch Money does, Downside of Me does, like, and I'm sure that you do this too, whether you know it or not, but you have stacks against the chalk pitcher. So one thing that I will always do as well is go up to the macro options and scroll down and say include specific stacks, and then just, Garrett Crochet is up against, who the fuck is he up against here?
Boston, right? No,
Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So just parse this down on Cincinnati lineups and just see what those are.
And then hit submit here.
Yep.
So these are all Cincinnati
lineups.
Okay.
Yeah. So then again, I mean, I would go down and see kind of like, what these lineups look like. And then I would do another trim after I take a look at the kind of player exposures and stuff like that down there.
So just hit trim right here?
Yeah. Say, okay, how many lineups do we have here? We have 15 lineups? Okay, cool. So what do these lineups look like? It's Chase Burns. The most important, reds are obviously going to be in there, but who else do you get that are not reds? It looks like you get some Ernie Clement, you get some Austin Hayes, you get some Toronto players here. So those are kind of other guys that I look at. And what I would do from here is say, okay, I have these. I want to add these to my portfolio. So, however many, whatever your exposure that you want to have to this, usually I give something like, 6 to 8% of my total portfolio to this. And I select the rows from the top. So I would put like 10 lineups from this or whatever. If you're going to have 150, I have 100 tonight. So
you shoot like 10 or something?
Yeah. And then just add selected to custom export.
And now the custom export is keeping track of all the stuff that we're doing here.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So right there above that selection thing, you see the display. It says portfolio. If you change that to export base, then you can see the custom export that you're building. Yep, right there.
Right. Okay.
So that'll show you your custom export. So let's go back to displaying the portfolio here, and then let's go reset our portfolio so that we can get an idea of what we want to do next. So we know that we have these Cincinnati lineups. The next thing is kind of like, dealer's choice. If you wanted to go through and like I do, select what stacks you want, select what pitchers you want to exclude, stuff like that, you could do that. Or if you just wanted to go quick and wanted to say, just give me lineups that make sense per the weighted ownership, this is what you would do. So first you would go include all stacks instead of the specific stacks. And then, you just get rid of that Cincinnati guy. And then you can fold back up the micro filter options. You don't need that anymore. And then down here for the, just for the trimming, because we don't need to do micro stuff. For this one, for the trim slack.
Leave it like 0.1 or something?
Put it at 20%.
20%, okay.
Let's just get a whole bunch of lineups here that make sense. So now we have 257 lineups that are pretty well trimmed down, right? And
now again, explain to everybody what that means by trim down.
Yeah, so the trimming function, specifically what it's doing is it's measuring the median projection against the trimming variable, which is either own, weighted own, or geomean. We
used weighted own for this.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So what it's going to do, it's going to say, okay, you have what is your highest overall median? And what is its ownership? And in this specific case, what is its weighted ownership?
Okay.
And it's going to take that as a baseline and say, I do not want to drop my median unless I am also dropping my weighted ownership. So if we do what I call as a strict trim, which is a 0% trim slack, that 101.21 and that weighted ownership 137.4, that is the top overall. It will not let another lineup in that is above 137.4 in terms of weighted ownership. But when you go down, the next lineup that it finds, it's going to reset what that weighted ownership is. So say the next lineup was a median of 100 and the weighted ownership was 136. Now the baseline for the weighted ownership is 136. It won't let anything in above that.
Right. So this third lineup wouldn't make it.
Right. If we were doing a strict trim.
Doing it straight by trim. Okay.
Right. But this one has slack. So this one is saying, okay, we're going to be a little bit looser, but as you scroll down these lineups, you will see that as your median goes down, your weighted ownership mostly also goes down. It's not exact, but you're going to see that your weighted ownership is going down as you continue to go down from your top median down farther towards your bottom median.
So there's going to be probably a grand total of 4 people that remember this, but yes. But this is very similar to something I struggle with, and I'm glad that this is what this is doing. When I would do my MMA lineup build, where I would download the entire spreadsheet from Saberson with all the different variables that I track, like the MMA default setting, I have my own settings, like 75 different, like 10 different metrics that I can rank stuff by, and then I would say, okay, well, how do I rank them? Like, well, I would certainly want it something look good from column C, but not if that meant that the best from column H was going to get knocked out or whatever it is. But you couldn't have everything, So I thought, well, maybe I should weight them, maybe I should add them, maybe or whatever. And this actually, in a primitive but kind of neat way, solves that a little bit.
It does.
You know what I mean? It gives you enough, right, of what you want to see. This is actually it's got a really sneaky good function, which I have not seen anywhere, by the way.
Yeah. This is really smart. Jordan Cooper put this together back in TrueDFS days.
Nice.
Yeah. And when I built it out, this was a big hit in Theory DFS. Now, obviously, Theory DFS, we're not promoting it anymore. Jordan is off doing his own thing, so I took some of the functions of that and included in this. But from here, right? I mean, let's go ahead and downsize this and let's reset the portfolio, because we got 257 lineups out of this. But if we were building 150 lineups, you know, we probably don't need that many to parse down, right? So let's go ahead and do a 10% slack trim, like you said, and see what that gives us, right? We're trying to get to about, I don't know, 100 lineups or something like that. Yeah, there we go, 81. And that's 81 lineups that you can just throw in, right? Like, I would trust those. So go ahead and add that to this. Go ahead and add all to custom export. You'll have to add all to custom export, not that button, the one next to it to the left. There you go. Okay, now go to change your display to the export base. So now we have 91 lineups, right? We have the 10 Cincinnati lineups that we made, and then we have the 81 trimmed down lineups. So let's go down really quick and see what we're exposed to.
Well, I'll tell you what I'd like to do. I'd like to get rid of some of these two-man stacks. Like that. That's kind of what I'd like to kind of do.
Ooh, okay. So let's go ahead and clear this custom export then, because we have ways to do this.
Yeah.
So go back to display for portfolio.
Ooh, we got a thing. Look at this. Go back to display.
Yep.
Portfolio. Okay.
Okay, and then reset it.
Reset. Oh yeah, it's always a good idea. Reset portfolio.
Reset. So if what we want to do is say, fuck these two-man lineups.
How about the two-mans and three-man stacks?
Sure, yeah. So go to macro filter options.
There we go. Okay, so macro filter options include specific stacks or remove specific stacks.
It should be size. Ooh, actually, it might be in the micro filter options. I think it's in micro filter options, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, there it is. Include sizes.
So we want to just include 5s and 4s.
Yep, there you go.
Okay.
So then submit that.
We'll submit that, and now we're working off a different pool. Okay.
Yep. So now it's all 5 and 4 man stacks.
You got the bicycle guy running still? No, he's done.
Oh,
so we got okay. So this is very interesting. So we only had 64.
Yep.
Non 5 and 4 mans, and they were all showing up in the top lineups. Okay. Okay. Now, again, just to be a pain in the ass. Yeah. So it's just the primary stack. Like we can't distinguish 5 2s versus 5 3s versus 4 3s versus 2 4s.
No, and that was intentional because I don't think they matter all that much.
Okay. Okay. So now we're back to here.
Yeah.
Okay. And so let's okay. So what I would do is let's trim again, right?
Yep.
And let's use, what did we say? 0.1 was a good number.
Yep, we'll use a 10% trim slack, and that's in the trimming options, which is below the micro filter. And you can always collapse those back up when you're done with them.
So and we think weighted owned, median then weighted owned is the best way to do it. We don't want to use this lineup edge, do we? Huh?
So I think that it's fine to use median weighted owned. I've been thinking about doing other combinations and having users be able to just like select any of those different things.
Oh, so you can't select. Oh, okay. These are the
not yet. I've thought about it. You can use finishing percentile if you want to, but I prefer median. I just think it's more robust.
Okay, so trim slack is 0.1. We'll trim that. And then we have, what do we got? We got 84 lineups. Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So then you add all those to the custom export.
Add all or add selected?
Add all. I'd add all. It's because we're building out, a big old portfolio here. So.
Well, what was in there before? I forget.
Those 10 Cincinnati lineups.
But they might not have had, that might have had 3 mans.
Yeah, so we would want to rebuild those now.
So
and we can do that. That's easy. So go back up and reset your portfolio. And this is kind of closer to the way that I build out lineups. Is saying, okay, I have this scenario, I want this scenario. So then go down to include specific stacks. Just go specific stacks, choose Cincinnati.
Yeah, you know what? I'm just because these are going to be asking for my lineups, and I am going to do this. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to include Cincinnati on purpose. If I get to it, I get to it.
Sure.
So let's go back to where we were. So we had we had the right stacks, right? Or do we still have those?
So go to your display and check out your export base.
Right. Okay. So let's export base. Let's see what we have here. So we didn't. We lost those, right? Okay.
So let's go. Let's redo that last step. I think maybe we just forgot to add in the custom export. So go back up to displaying your portfolio.
Okay.
And then go back down, and you should just need to trim. Well, you'll need to do.
Oh, we got to do the stacks again. The stack
Yep.
sizes. Okay. So
micro filter first.
Oh, right. Micro filter first. So we're only going to go. Now, usually I will have done this before I even get to these 500s, but let's include only 4s and 5s, and then we will
You'll want to submit that first before you do the trimming.
Oh, okay. Submit this first.
There you go. All right.
And then as far as trimming options, it's red. Is that bothering me?
Nope.
So let's trim.
And then add all to custom export.
We have add all to custom export.
Not that one. That's the selected.
Oops.
It's all good.
Add all to custom export.
Okay. And now check your export base just to make sure that it's there. So the display.
Export base. Pulse. Okay.
Okay. Yep. It's there. Cool.
So what we've done, okay, right now. So we've created 85 lineups.
Yep.
Started with my projections and ownership, right? Because it started with that. And then we demanded 5 and 4 mans.
Yep.
And then we trimmed using this metric over here, right?
Median and weighted ownership. And now what you can do is you can actually go down and go below this, right? And say, all right, what am I most exposed to? And I would fold up those options.
No, I don't want to do that.
Well, this is for other people who
go ahead. That's what we do.
So if we go down, we can see what we are exposed to. And more importantly for me, you can see the stack sizes that the kind of stacks that you're exposed to. So this one shows player stats, but
so I want to do this to expand it.
So for players, you can look at this one, but the stacks, this is actually, there's a different tab. So you can see that you have 35% Kansas City, 24% Cincinnati. So you're getting your Cincinnati stacks one way or another.
Exactly.
And then you get Baltimore, New York, San Francisco, stuff like that. Now, for me, the next step, I have 100 lineups, right? And I just saw that, and I was like, okay, I know that I am heavily exposed to Kansas City and Cincinnati. I'm going to lower the volatility of my portfolio a little bit. I'm going to go take some pitchers from my portfolio and add them.
Okay.
So I would lock them in, and I would see what the best lineups are from the guys who are facing them, and then I would add them to my custom portfolio so that I have a little bit of volatility control in my portfolio.
But what we're going to do is this. This is what we're going to do. What we're going to do to pull because these are going in the lottery. Okay. Yeah. We're gonna find another. What I'd love to do is find another 65 lineups.
Yeah.
That have 5 and 4 man that we have not used already, and take the top 65 rated by lineup edge.
Okay.
So how do we do that?
So go to your display and go back to portfolio.
Back to portfolio.
Yep.
So untrim, I guess, right?
Yep. We're just going to go and reset our portfolio again.
Reset portfolio again.
All right. So now if we're focusing on lineup edge.
Oh, right? We could do this, right? Okay.
Yeah. So make this neutral. Say that's at 0 just to start, right?
Oh, just type it in even? Or...
Yep.
Okay.
Now, go ahead and go down and just start with that, right?
And don't even just hit submit.
Ooh. Actually, wait. Don't submit yet. Say remove specific stacks. Yes.
Yeah. Or just include, right?
Yeah. So if let's do this. Submit the top one first. Submit the macro one first, so that we can just make sure that we're at 0 edge, right? So now we know that all the lineups that we have are positive edge, right?
How many are these? Let's see.
Let's find out.
288. Okay.
Yep. So now we know that that what you had in the export base was heavily exposed to Cincinnati, Kansas City, right? Right. So let's get rid of those guys, right? Let's just remove them.
No, I don't want to do that. What I want to do is now here's a question. If I take the top 65 by lineup edge, right. So I run the risk of duping the same lineup, right?
No, it'll remove the same lineup.
Will.
Yeah. So technically you could just go from now. Like if you wanted to do just 4 and 5 mans and submit that.
Yes.
And then sort it by lineup edge, highest to lowest.
Yep. Hold on. It's running.
There we go.
So we can sort it by lineup edge. And then wait the other way, right? And then let's take the top 65, right? How do we do that?
Ooh, actually, wait, don't do that. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Because I already there's something I need to change that would totally fuck you if you did that right now. So instead, so let's look at the lineup edge and let's instead say, can you scroll down a little bit for this lineup edge? Let's instead say only include lineup edges of 7% or better.
So 0.07?
Yep, 0.07.
Just like that?
Yep.
Submit.
Okay, see how many we got there?
61.
There you go.
It's pretty good. Okay, so add these to selected export.
And add all to custom export. Not that one.
All.
Yep.
Now I'm curious to see how many we have now.
All right, let's go see.
Export base. 141. So that's pretty freaking good.
There you go.
That's pretty good. So I'm gonna live with the 9 others that I have. And so we could just download this, right?
Yep.
Just like that.
There you go.
We're just going to add these to what I have. And then after I've done that, then you could show me stuff that I could have done. So let me
I'm going to go build my lineups here in a second too, because I got 101.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, wait, that's what happens when they put make it a $5. Everybody wants to.
Yeah, everybody.
I want to play more. It's like totally. It's like.
Well, I have been MMEing for the last couple of days. I'm doing 50 to 100 lineups for this week. I'm gonna do it for about a month because I do have this portfolio manager, and I'm just like, if I'm gonna tell people to use this, then I have to go use it myself.
100%. Okay, so obviously, now there are ways to use this to, if you want to. If you want to tell it what to do, like you not wanted me to do, what you showed is possible to do. Like if I said, you know what, I have this crochet, I want to get reds, you could do that.
Yep.
Or again, like anything else, you want to say, screw all that. I'll just sort it by these awesome metrics that James has created. Mm-hmm. That's cool too. So I guess that's really all I want to do. So I want to let you go. So you can do your lineups as well, and we're going to continue to work this stuff. Now, fortunately or unfortunately, all we got is baseball right now.
Yeah.
And there's no way I'm going to make you wake up with me to do the tennis at 7:30. I'm going to be doing the 7. By the way, tomorrow morning at 7:30, I'm going to be doing a live lineup build 7:30 to 8:30. Hey, if you wake up, fire it in there. But this is obviously an amazing tool, and again, the more you screw with it. Mm-hmm. The more you'll learn how to use it.
It's one of those things. It definitely has a learning curve on it, right? But all the best tools do. Like, it takes time to learn how to use this stuff and play it correctly. And like full disclosure, I'm still learning how to use it, right? Like I build a new tool, I build a new function into it every like 4 days because I'm just like, this would like in my head earlier today. Sheets and I had a call and we were talking a little bit about this and. He had me thinking about how to set up something that accounted for negative correlations. And I'm just like, I mean, I could do that. Like I could algorithmically find the negative correlations and aim to avoid those or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
I think that stuff like that, one of the reasons why it's in the experimental tab is because it's still an experimental tool, right? Like it's still something that I am building out and that I'm figuring out as we go. So the feedback from high-level users like Sheets, like CKK over in the Paydirt Discord, like a whole bunch of people who use it and find success with it, that's what makes it a better tool. And that's why it will be such a powerful tool too. So
Everybody just here. Casey Schmidt is out, so I guess these San Francisco lineups came in. So obviously everything I said, never mind. But obviously make sure you late swap and do all that good stuff, and that'll be for another discussion. Yep. All right, thanks, man. I will catch up to you soon. Good luck, everybody.
All right, adios.